Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. I'm sure most of you out there have already heard about the new Trump drama in the media right now, how he committed a crime by purchasing a firearm while he's under indictment for felonies. It's illegal for anyone who's been accused of a crime to go out and buy a gun, which is ridiculous in its own right. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But there's also another wrinkle to this now. Even though they have no proof he actually bought a gun, the only thing they can show is that he stood and posed with a gun that had his image on it. It was a commemorative gun. They have, like I said, no evidence he actually bought one or took possession of it or anything else. So basically, they just want to get him for touching a gun while he's under federal indictment. Like I said, but there's another wrinkle to it now also. They're saying that his visit to this gun shop was a dog whistle to the white supremacists, to the alt-right, because this is such a racist gun shop with such a history of racism. Where he went was Palmetto State Armory. And the fact that they're racist came as news to me. But then, I read all the evidence that the media is putting forward, and it basically boils down to Palmetto State is racist because that guy who committed a racist crime did so with an item he bought from Palmetto State Armory. So that makes them racist by association, I guess, because someone misused their product, just like every time, someone in a Ford Bronco shouts something anti-Semitic to someone on a street corner, that makes Ford complicit in that. I guess they're anti-Semitic also. And if they run someone down with a Ford, oh my God, Ford is murderers. They're complicit in murder, right? That's how it works, according to these people who want to say Palmetto State Armory is racist. Now, can I sit here and say, oh, no one at Palmetto State Armory is racist? No, I can't say that because I don't know them personally. So, but I also can't sit here and say they are simply because someone misused one of their products. That's ridiculous. But that's the argument that people on the far left and in the mainstream media right now are making. Like I said, never mind the fact he didn't actually purchase the gun. All he did was pose with a gun that had basically his picture on it. It was a commemorative gun to him. I'm sure that was cool to him to pose with that. I actually kind of want one. Remember the Tommy gun that has the Trump stuff on it? I want that. I could just get a regular Tommy gun, but I'd like to have the Trump commemorative. And no, I'm not a big Trump guy. I don't like politicians. Did I like Trump back when he was showing up at, WWF back then, wrestling events? Yes, loved him back then. Thought he was cool, funny, personable. But as soon as he became a politician, that all went away. To me, becoming a politician is like joining Antifa or the Klan. I can no longer see you as harmless. I see you as part of the problem. So I'm not a big Trump fan, but it's still a piece of history. I'd like to have it. And even though I would never want a gun with my face on it, if someone made one, I'd want to pose with it because it'd be cool. I don't know why they would do that, but if they did, I would think it was cool. So I can understand why he posed with the gun. But like I said, to try to say, he's violated some laws now because he's under indictment and he actually took possession of a gun. Just holding a gun is not taking possession of a gun. That's not transferring a gun to someone. Unless you give them ownership of that gun, that's not transferring a gun to a person, just letting someone touch it. That's like saying if someone came here today and wanted to see my gun safe and I showed it to them, and then while they were in there, they said, hey, can I hold your Walther? And I hand them my Walther PPK and they hold it for a second and go, oh, that's cool, and hand it back to me, that I've transferred that gun to them. And that if they turn out to be a prohibited person, I should go to jail. That's ridiculous. Plus, like I said, right now, he's just under indictment. That doesn't mean he did anything. I'm not saying he didn't, but that's just an accusation by the government. Should you be able to be denied your rights because of an accusation by the government? I don't think you should. So I think this whole thing is ridiculous. I think he should be able to buy a gun. He hasn't been convicted of any felonies. He should be able to go out right now and purchase that gun. That gun shop should have been able to give that gun to him if they wanted to, because he hasn't been convicted of anything. And here's another thing. I personally believe if he doesn't go to jail, well, then he should still be able to buy a gun. If someone's too dangerous to own a gun, they're too dangerous to be walking on the streets. So put them in prison. If you're not putting them in prison, then they get to have their rights. That's the way I feel about it. And it seems like the Supreme Court might be deciding that too soon. There's a case right now where someone sued the state because they weren't allowed to buy a gun because they were under an indictment, had never been convicted of anything, and the Supreme Court is likely to hear that case soon. So pretty soon it might not even be a crime if that gun shop had even given it to him. Because he is not a prohibited person. He is not in prison. He hasn't been convicted of a felony. Just being charged by the government, that's not proof of anything. A lot of people are charged. Doesn't mean they're guilty. I've been charged with things I wasn't guilty of before. Probably a lot of you all have too. So this whole thing is just garbage from beginning to end. This whole idea that, he committed a major crime by just posing with a gun with his picture on it. And how the media inflated it to, he bought a gun, he bought it. Just because he said, I'd like to buy this. Well, who wouldn't want to buy the gun with their picture on it? They didn't have any evidence. They didn't do any research. They didn't say, here's the 4473 filled out where he lied or anything like that. They just immediately jumped to he committed a crime because he posed with a gun. That's ridiculous. And there's some people in the gun community that are, repeating it. That's garbage. He just posed with a gun. Like I said, if someone comes in my gun safe and touches a gun, I'm not transferring that gun to them. Not giving them ownership of it or control of it. I'm right there. They're in my safe. He was right there in that guy's store. The guy was right there. He could have snatched that gun away from him at a moment's notice. So that's just garbage from the beginning. And now this whole new wrinkle that, it was a dog whistle to the racists. Well, those people would have to be pretty stupid, which I'm not saying racists aren't stupid. A lot of racists are very stupid. Ignorance breeds racism. Not stupidity. Well, stupidity does too, but mostly it's ignorance that breeds racism because I don't think most people are stupid. I think most people have a normal functioning brain and have average intelligence. They're just ignorant. They're not experienced. They haven't been exposed. It's nature. So that whole idea that this was a dog whistle to these racists, I don't think most racists know that Palmetto State Armory is supposedly racist. I don't think they'd make that connection. I think the media is the one that made that connection. And now, if anything, the media is the one making racists think, Palmetto State supports us. Let's buy some of their products. And that's the media's fault, not Palmetto State's. I've never seen Palmetto State Armory do anything racist, say anything racist. And just having one of their products misused by someone, that doesn't make them complicit in that. No more so than, like I said earlier, Ford is complicit if someone misuses their product. If I went out right now in my Camaro and mowed down some people because I didn't like the color of their skin or the color of their shirt, that doesn't make GM complicit. I misused that item. That's a tool, a transportation tool. I misused it. A gun is a self-defense tool, and they misused it. That does not reflect on the manufacturer. You'd have to come up with a lot more than just, oh my God, it got misused. So any journalists that saying they're racist simply because their tool got misused, that to me is something that shows you're not a journalist. Because unless you can show actions by them that would show that they support a racist ideology, well then you're just telling lies. You're slandering, you're libeling. That's all that is. Because like I said, that only exists, that whole, they're racist and this is a dog whistle, only exists in the media. That whole notion only exists in the media, mostly left-leaning media. And it's garbage. This whole notion that, because their gun was used, their tool was used, that's just garbage. This whole thing is garbage. Anyone that would pay lip service to it. I hate the fact that I have to talk about it here because it's become such a story. Any reasonable person would just look at this and go, an ex-president posed with an item that has his picture on it. End of story. A racist asshole misused a product from a company. End of story. It doesn't even matter where he got it. If someone, beat someone to death with a club tomorrow, I wouldn't be like, where did they get that club? Did they get it at Big Five? Are Big Five complicit in this? Was he motivated by racism? Does that make Big Five racist if he bought the bat there and then he beat someone to death with it? See how silly it sounds when you take it the extreme they want to take it to, when you actually say it out loud, just like saying that if I had someone in my safe and I handed them a gun, that I've transferred the gun to them, and that's a crime, and I should go to jail for that. When you say it out loud, it's just stupid. So whether you like Trump, hate Trump, whatever, that's on you. That's your opinion. And, pretty much I am fine with whichever way you feel about him. Like I said, I don't like any politicians. But if you give this story lip service, if you give it any credibility whatsoever, you're damaging just society as a whole. Because this is such a stupid thing, such a partisan thing, that even repeating it is just ridiculous.